This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through body cams. Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Now, this is a heavy title for those that wonder what does it mean for the title to be Judge Carol Weimer under the microscope. Judge Carol Weimer is the presiding judge in Mustafa's case. We have sealed body cams. We have police reports that are falsified. And we're in circuit court. Judge Carol Weimer, out of Prince William County, is presiding over the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Now, being in circuit court, everything's on the record. But what's the point of everything being on the record if Judge Carol Weimer sealed off the body cams and the documents, the discovery documents, sealed off the whole entire file? The community cannot verify whether this judge is being impartial or not, even though it's on the record. You can pull the transcript all you want, but if you can't watch the body cams and the police report, you can't determine and find out if this judge is impartial. Well, unfortunately for Judge Carol Weimer, we have the body cams and the documents and the discovery, and they're all over the internet. Judge Carol Weimer sealed it for the prosecutor to protect this prosecutor that's been lying about Mustafa for 2 years. This prosecutor is protecting a number of police officers that falsified police reports. And these body cams and documents that are on the internet, the community can find out and determine for itself whether this judge is a corrupt judge, whether this judge has been impartial in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. They tried really hard to seal off everything. Didn't work. Everything is on the internet. Now we're going to slow down the conversation, and we're going to talk about the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Mustafa Al-Jazari, it's been over 2 years. He's been in solitary confinement. A pre-trial detainee in solitary confinement. I mean, picture a pre-trial detainee in a county jail in solitary confinement. And the minute that you talk about his falsified police report, correctional officers would go into his cell, beat him, essay him inside the jail, and deny him medical to silence this inmate, to silence his family from talking about his falsified police report. Unfortunately for this jail, unfortunately for this county, we have the CCTV video from inside the jail that shows what these correctional officers have done to Mustafa. On May 24, correctional officers would beat Mustafa, would essay Mustafa, and then would deny him medical. Now, at the time when we went to the sheriff, and we told Sheriff Glenn Hill, that's the sheriff in our county jail, adult detention center out of Virginia, Prince William County Adult Detention Center out of Virginia. The sheriff is Sheriff Glenn Hill. At the time, we went up to Sheriff Glenn Hill and told him, Sheriff, your correctional officers went in, beat Mustafa, essayed Mustafa, and denied him medical. The sheriff says nothing happened. My correctional officer would never do anything like that. Now, fast forward to today, we have the CCTV video that shows what the correctional officer did to Mustafa. And I think it's good to start with the jail video and then dive into the case. I mean, Mustafa has been in solitary confinement for over 2 years. You're talking about a pre-trial detainee who have not had trial yet. Why have Mustafa Al-Jazari not had trial yet? In Virginia, by law, within 6 months, there's a speedy trial law Within 6 months, they have to take you to trial. They can't just keep you in jail. Mustafa never waived his speedy trial. But he's sitting in a county jail for 2 years without a trial. Now, you're supposed to have a preliminary hearing. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth suspended the preliminary hearing. Give me a case. Give me any case that you've heard where they suspend the preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is where they take you in front of a judge and talk about the evidence that they have against you. In Mustafa's case, they suspended the preliminary hearing. I mean, that's illegal. It's illegal for a Commonwealth attorney to suspend the preliminary hearing. Now you have a situation where Mustafa Al-Jazari sits in solitary confinement in a county jail without a preliminary hearing, in solitary confinement for over 2 years without a trial. Let's look at the CCTV video where Sheriff Glen Hill says, "My correctional officers will never do what you're talking about. They will never beat up an inmate, not alone essay the inmate, not alone deny him medical." Let's look at that CCTV video. It should be playing on YouTube. Can someone go on YouTube and see if YouTube is working? It says that it's running. It says that it's live. It shows that I'm not muted. Yeah, if you Casey, if you can have someone else check, see if YouTube is live. Let me check on my end really quick. And for those that are tuning in right now, we're on YouTube. We're live under Not Another Boring Podcast. It's good. We are good. We are good to go. Casey, Shelly, I love you, ma'am. Feel free to jump in the box. Send me a request. I'll bring you in the box. You're going to be part of the conversation. And I'm going to do my best not to tune you guys out. I have a really bad habit of tuning everybody out. Yes, ma'am. I love you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let's look at the CCTV video from inside the jail where correctional officer, 6 giant correctional officer on May 24, 2023, go into Mustafa's cell. One of the correctional officer already unholstered his taser. He has a taser unholstered, goes into the cell. Correctional officer would rush into that cell and then take out an unconscious Mustafa, a handcuffed Mustafa behind his back, a half-naked Mustafa, an unconscious Mustafa dragged from one cell into another cell, and in the other cell, they beat him again, they strip him completely naked, they essay him, and then deny him medical. So this is the CCTV from the first interaction. This is 6 correctional officers on May 24, 2023. This is a CCTV video. At the time, we went to the Department of Justice. We complained to the Department of Justice, the building behind me, and we filed with the Department of Justice. They assigned 3 FBI agents: Special Agent Lindsay Coulter, Special Agent Samantha Adams, and Supervisor Special Agent Huckle. They got involved only to tell us nothing happened. As a matter of fact, a CCTV video does not exist. They covered up for the jail. Well, today we stand in front of the Department of Justice. We're filing again with them. We're filing, the FBI building is right there. And we're telling them, your FBI agents, your local FBI agent, we're not talking about the FBI agents out of D.C. We're talking about local FBI agents that got involved only to tell us nothing happened. A CCTV video does not exist. Nothing happened to your brother. Well, why am I watching a CCTV video where a correctional officer rush into that cell, one of them unholster a taser, and then take out an unconscious Mustafa? Did those FBI agents, local FBI agents, cover up for the private jail? Yes. They showed up only to tell the Department of Justice, nothing to see here, and they closed down the case. Well, we're here today to say your local FBI agents, the ones that you assigned, are protecting a local jail, a local private jail, and they're protecting that jail to protect the money that comes into the county. This is a private jail. This is Mustafa, half naked, as that correctional officer kicks him in the knee, kicks him with his feet, hits him on the head. Mustafa's half naked, he's airlifted, unconscious, and getting dragged down this from one cell down the stairs into another cell, only to take him to another cell, strip him completely naked, essay him, beat him, and then deny him medical. Now, we have pictures of Mustafa's injuries. 2 weeks after we visited Mustafa. 2 weeks after we visited Mustafa. Mustafa's arm, Mustafa's head is all bumpy. This is Mustafa's head. You can see the bumps in his head. This is 2 weeks after the beating. His arm is 3 times the size of a normal arm. And what's disturbing is the jail never gave Mustafa medical. Now we're talking about an inmate that's in solitary confinement. The only individuals that have access to Mustafa is correctional officer. This inmate is in solitary confinement, so you can't say Mustafa was beaten up by other inmates. This is a solitary confined inmate. Your correctional officer are the only one that have access to this inmate. And 2 weeks after this CCTV video, his arm is 3 times of a normal arm. His head is all bumpy. Now, when we review the medical reports from inside the jail, we realize that they never x-rayed the injuries. They never did a CT scan. They never x-rayed the injuries. They x-rayed other parts in his body except for the injured parts. His legs, his arm. This is what the documents show. Now, I remember at the time we were asked to come into the FBI field office out of Manassas. And we sat down with Special Agent Lindsay Coulter. We sat down with Special Agent Samantha Adams and Supervisor Special Agent Huckle. And we sat down with them inside the FBI building out of Manassas. And in one of their rooms, it was a unique room. It was one of those interrogation rooms. You see the camera in the corner. They take you into a room. And my dad was there. My mom was there. My brother was there. Muhammad. And not Mustafa. We're talking about my other brother. And we're asking them. And they're telling us, nothing happened to your brother. A CCTV video does not exist. And I remember at the time my brother Muhammad would ask the special agent, did you x-ray his injuries? Did you x-ray his arm? Did you x-ray his leg? Mustafa is telling you that he was essayed inside the jail. Did you do a test to determine whether he was essayed? Nothing. They never x-rayed the injuries. They never did the test to see if he was essayed inside the jail from correctional officers. As a matter of fact, they were so frustrated, and they end the meeting. They said, you'll never hear from us again. We're closing out the case. Nothing happened to your brother. Well, we're here again today to tell the Department of Justice that you send us local FBI agents that lied about what the jail did to Mustafa. And we're asking them, we filed again with the Department of Justice. We supplied them the CCTV video. We supplied them with documents. And we supplied them with other material from his case. Body cams are falsified. Police reports are body cams that show police reports are falsified. A whole entire case where Mustafa has been held in solitary confinement for over 2 years, and they've built a Commonwealth attorney that built a whole entire case on lies. A whole entire case is built on lies. Now, this is a vehicle accident. Mustafa was involved in a tragic vehicle accident. Mustafa lost his family inside that vehicle. Mustafa was in a coma, helicoptered, and they helicoptered him to the hospital. Mustafa wakes up from a coma to find out that he lost his family inside that vehicle. There's a dash camera inside the vehicle that shows the whole entire thing is a vehicle accident. But the Commonwealth attorney sealed off the body cam from Mustafa, the family, and the community. The investigator Robert Drum, falsified Mustafa's statements on the police reports. Now, what does that mean? Mustafa, after he was released from the hospital, 2 days we're taking care of Mustafa at home. We get a phone call from the investigator in this case. And he talks to Mustafa for just about 30 minutes. This investigator put in his police report that Mustafa told him that he was arguing inside the vehicle, that he was angry at his girlfriend inside the vehicle, and he had crashed the vehicle on purpose. Now, my other brother Muhammad recorded that phone call conversation. Mustafa never made these statements. Mustafa never said that. Mustafa never said I was arguing inside the vehicle. Mustafa never said I was angry at my girlfriend inside the vehicle. Mustafa never said what this investigator is claiming that he said. This investigator flat out falsified the police report. And he falsified the warrant under an affidavit. He falsified the police report. He falsified the warrant. And he issued a warrant for Mustafa's arrest on falsified police reports. Now, it gets worse. This investigator didn't just falsify the police report. What they've done is originally they charged Mustafa with manslaughter. They falsified the police reports. They sealed off the dash camera. And they charged Mustafa with manslaughter. Now, keep in mind, when Mustafa was helicoptered to the hospital, Mustafa was in a coma. He was helicoptered to the hospital. In the hospital, they did a toxicology report on Mustafa. Mustafa's blood does not have alcohol, does not have any drugs. So they released Mustafa. The hospital, the police department, the police officer that was at the hospital released Mustafa. When he woke up from the coma, it was about 4 or 5 hours in the hospital. They released Mustafa to the family. They released Mustafa to us. Nothing is in his system. No drugs, no alcohol. They released Mustafa. Now, at the time, they falsified Mustafa's statements and they charged him with manslaughter. Now, what is manslaughter? For them to be able to charge Mustafa with manslaughter, he has to either be driving reckless. He has to do something that contribute to the vehicle accident. Well, in Mustafa's case, when you watch the dash camera, Mustafa is not speeding. The computer inside his vehicle showed that Mustafa was not speeding. He was going speed limit. Mustafa was not driving reckless. He's driving normal. The dash camera show that he's driving normal. So you can't charge Mustafa for being reckless. You can't charge him with manslaughter because he's being reckless. You can't charge him with manslaughter because he's speeding. He's not speeding. You can't charge Mustafa with being under the influence because his toxicology report show no alcohol, no drugs. The only way they got away with charging Mustafa with manslaughter is because they falsified Mustafa's statement on the police report. And they said, investigator Robert Drum said in his police report that you told me that you were arguing with your girlfriend inside the vehicle. You were angry at your girlfriend inside the vehicle. This is a falsified police report. And that's how they got away with issuing out a warrant, and they originally charged Mustafa with manslaughter. Now, at the time, now keep in mind, my other brother, or had recorded that phone call conversation. We went out to Internal Affairs and filed with Internal Affairs and supplied them with the audio of the conversation between Mustafa and this investigator. Now, we got a call from First Sergeant Sean Shelton that yes, this police report is falsified, and the Commonwealth Attorney is being notified that this police report is falsified. And they're heavily looking into this investigator. It took about a couple of months. They sent us a letter admitting that they falsified the police report. Now, what's disturbing is within 5 days of us filing with Internal Affairs calling us and telling us that the Commonwealth Attorney has been notified that the police officer, the investigator, falsified Mustafa's statement. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, within 5 days, she drops the case, retaliates against Mustafa, and then ups the charge to murder. No longer Mustafa is being charged with manslaughter. Mustafa is charged with murder. You have a Commonwealth Attorney that's retaliating against what Internal Affairs is telling her. She's protecting the investigator. Now, this was on the news. Julie Carey, we're going to play the news clip from NBC4. Now, I wish this was the only parts that was disturbing in the case. The more we talk about this case, the more you find out that this police department, this prosecutor and Commonwealth Attorney have not only falsified one police report, but falsified everything in this case. As a matter of fact, they engaged in tampering with witnesses. The individuals that they consider witnesses in this case, we have evidence, we have body cams, we have police reports. The police reports are falsified, and they tampered with the witnesses. They're using individuals that were not there. They're tampering with witnesses. We'll talk more about it. Let's watch the NBC4 clip where they talk about Internal Affairs and their finding into this police report. If you go on YouTube and you go on our channel, one of the videos you'll see NBC4 talking about our complaint with Internal Affairs, and Internal Affairs sending us a letter admitting they falsified the police report. There we go. Casey. Hello.
With moderate to severe opioid addiction, whose withdrawal symptoms are controlled.
There are new questions being raised in the case of a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend.
So all of a sudden, Mustafa is no longer charged with manslaughter. Mustafa is being charged with murder. Now keep in mind, this is 5 days into Amy Ashworth being notified by First Sergeant Sean Shelton. And we have a recording of that phone call where he's calling us and telling us, I called the Commonwealth Attorney, I notified her of the falsified police report, that this investigator lied, blah, 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 blah. 5 days later, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, no process the manslaughter charges, and now it's charging Mustafa with murder.
Last year.
They come after Prince William's police chief ruled the investigating officer had violated department policy. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey spoke to the driver's defense attorney about why he thinks the finding casts doubt on the case.
Mustafa Al-Jazeera has been behind bars for almost a year now, accused of intentionally driving his car into oncoming traffic, a crash that killed Dorothy Fontaine.
Now keep in mind, when this when they reported on Mustafa, the Commonwealth Attorney has sealed off the dash camera from the community. So when she's out telling the community that Mustafa intentionally drove into oncoming traffic, she's hiding the dash camera. We have the dash camera. We publicize the dash camera. And the dash camera clearly show this is a vehicle accident. Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. But what does Amy Ashworth do? She seals off the dash camera, and she expects the community to take her word for it. She's the Commonwealth Attorney. They're the police department. You should just believe us. I'm not going to show you the dash camera. She doesn't want to show you the dash camera. She just wants you to take her word for it. Now keep in mind, it's been 2 years. It's been over 2 years. This case has been ongoing for 2 years. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, to today, has not released the dash camera. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, Prosecutor Sammy, the police department is terrified that this community is watching the dash camera. Because once you see the dash camera, you realize that your Commonwealth Attorney have lied to you. For 2 years, she's been lying to you. Let's continue watching NBC4.
5-year-old daughter, Empress, initially charged with manslaughter. The charges were later upgraded to second-degree murder. Al Jazeera's family...
Initially charged with manslaughter, upgraded to murder. Now, that's interesting. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, what new evidence do you have that you upgraded this case to murder? That's interesting. I have the full discovery. Everything in this case shows that this is a vehicle accident. The only reason that you upgraded from manslaughter is because we submitted the audio to the conversation that your investigator did not record on his body cam. So if it wasn't for my other brother Muhammad, recording Mustafa's conversation with this investigator, we would have been in a situation where it would have been Mustafa's words over investigator Robert Drum's words. And you already know where I'm going with this. Everybody's going to believe a police officer. They're going to take their words for it. Now it's interesting that he never recorded that phone call conversation. But now that there is an audio, Amy Ashworth drops the manslaughter charges because she's been busted. It shows that you're building a case on falsified police reports. She drops the manslaughter, retaliate with murder.
Insist the crash was an accident. The defendant's brothers filed an internal affairs complaint with the Prince William County Police, alleging the investigating officer, quote, falsified a portion of his police report.
Now, what's really interesting, when Julie Carey with NBC4 says the brother filed with internal affairs alleging that the police officer falsified the police report. Ma'am, I have an audio of the conversation. You know, it's one thing if it was my word against the investigator's word, Mustafa's word over the investigator. I have an audio of the conversation. And you can read the police report and tell me where in this conversation did Mustafa, the foundation of this case is they're building a case that Mustafa was arguing with his girlfriend inside the vehicle, was angry at his girlfriend inside the vehicle, and drove his vehicle into oncoming traffic because he was angry. Now, what's interesting is there's an audio to the conversation that Mustafa never told the investigator what this investigator is claiming that he told him. Mustafa never said that. As a matter of fact, when the investigator tells him, were you arguing inside the vehicle? Mustafa says, no, we were not arguing. There is no argument. And he says it like 5 times. Mustafa repeats himself 5 times. So where did this investigator put on his police report that Mustafa said I was arguing inside the vehicle, I was angry? Oh, he falsified the police report. So when Julie Carey says allege, ma'am, I have an audio of the conversation. My complaint is very specific. I said the investigator falsified my brother's statement My brother never said what this investigator is claiming. My brother never told the investigator I was arguing inside the vehicle with the investigator drum. I was never. My brother never said I was angry at my girlfriend inside the vehicle. This investigator falsified my brother's statement and this police report, and here's the audio.
That the couple was arguing before the crash.
As a matter of fact, when you watch the dash camera, you clearly see there is no argument inside this vehicle. Oh, that's why they sealed off the dash camera from the community. And they're telling the community, I'm the Commonwealth Attorney, I'm the police department, I want you to take my word for it because she's the Commonwealth Attorney. You're so comfortable charging him with manslaughter. You're so comfortable charging him with now murder. Release his dash camera. Let the community see for themselves. But you're terrified, Amy Ashworth. You're terrified of the evidence. I've never seen a case where the prosecutor, the Commonwealth Attorney, is terrified of the evidence.
Al Jazeera's brother provided a taped version of a phone conversation that contradicted portions of the written police report. Last month, the Al Jazeera family received this brief letter from Prince William Police Chief Peter Newsham reading, "The investigation revealed that Master Police Officer Drum violated department policy. Therefore, appropriate corrective action has been taken."
Now, violated department policy. I mean, my complaint with the police department is very specific. I said Investigator Drum falsified my brother's statements. These are the statements that he falsified, and this is the audio. And then I get a letter from Internal Affairs telling me we've investigated and find out that this investigator violated department policy. And corrective actions has been taken. Well, that's interesting because when you open the discovery and look at the supplemental report they put on file, a supplemental report is when an investigator falsified the police report. You put something called a supplemental report, correcting the police report. Because what happened, the police department and the Commonwealth Attorney are two separate agencies. The Commonwealth Attorney Office brings up charges based on the police report. If you're telling the Commonwealth Attorney that Mustafa said I was arguing inside the vehicle, I was angry at my girlfriend inside the vehicle, the Commonwealth Attorney is going to bring up charges based on that police report. Now, putting a supplemental report, the Commonwealth Attorney is going to look at the supplemental report and she's going to have to fix it. Now, what's interesting, when you open the discovery, the supplemental report says we were unable to hear the audio. What? What do you mean you were unable to hear the audio? I literally have a document, a supplemental report, that says Internal Affairs looked into it. They couldn't hear the audio. The audio is very clear. I posted it on the internet. I posted it on YouTube. I posted it on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. You can clearly hear the audio. You can hear the audio. This whole entire thing about, oh, we can't hear the audio. This is just their way of looking the other way. Now, what's disturbing is you have a situation where Internal Affairs First Sergeant Sean Shelton calls us and he tells us, yes, the police report is falsified. Commonwealth Attorney, you'll hear NBC4 where she says, I was already aware of the police officer falsifying the police report. I mean, this is so disturbing. You knew your officer falsified the police report? So you're aware that your officer falsified the police. You're admitting that your officer falsified. Then why is the supplemental report says, we couldn't hear the audio? There is no supplemental report. So not only you have a situation where the investigator falsified Mustafa's statements, you have Internal Affairs and the Chief of Police looking the other way to protect this investigator and falsely charge Mustafa. I mean, that's disturbing. I mean, where is the accountability? I mean, you expect, Okay, fine. A police officer falsified the police report. You expect that once you go to internal affairs, an agency within an agency, that you're going to have accountability. That when you go to the chief of police, you're going to have accountability. There is no accountability at Prince William County. I mean, when you have a supplemental report, Casey, Shelley, when you have a conversation about the supplemental reports, and I'm going to have the supplemental report posted, the supplemental report literally says, we couldn't hear the audio. How could you not hear the audio?
Hearing that, and that is bullshit.
Ma'am, you exactly.
All heard them recording.
Exactly. This audio.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Did you not sit down with Julie Carey at Starbucks?
Yes. Yes, I have. And, telling this community that I sat down with Julie Carey, that's a big statement to say, I sat down with Julie Carey, I supplied her with all the evidence, the dash camera, the discovery, the falsified police report, the audio. I have the text communication back and forth between me and Julie Carey. As a matter of fact, I video and audio recorded our interaction at Starbucks. Now, Julie Carey, when she comes out on the news, and this is where it gets really disturbing, Julie Carey reported on this case, on Mustafa's case, as late as May 2023 or 2023. Julie Carey, in her report, she pretends that this is her first time watching the dash camera. This is her first time hearing a portion of the audio. That's disturbing. I mean, talk about a lawsuit waiting to happen. I'm a paralegal. We're in the process of sending a cease and desist letter to Julie Carey and BC4 and the media outlet that lied about Mustafa. I mean, we have documents, we have body cams, we have a dash camera, we have every piece of evidence that the prosecutor has that miserably failed at sealing off from the community using Judge Carol Weimer. Judge Carol Weimer helped her, got a judge order to seal off all the documents, everything in Mustafa's case. Now, Julie Carey was already aware, but she pretends, comes out to the community and says, oh my God, I've never seen, at the time, the prosecutor, after a year and a half, on May 2023, released a portion of the dash camera, which is a chopped up version. She took 3 seconds from the beginning of halfway through the dash camera, clipped it with 2 seconds from at the end of the dash camera, clipped them together, gave it to Julie Carey, and says, this is a dash camera. You chopped up the dash camera only to mislead and take the dash camera out of context and give it to Julie Carey. And Julie Carey comes out to the community with NBC4. I've never seen this dash camera. Oh my God, he did this on purpose. Well, no, when you take something out of context and you chop a dash camera, of course it's going to look like he did it intentionally. But when you watch the actual dash camera, you realize this is a vehicle accident. I mean, why is Prosecutor Sammy, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, Julie Carey with NBC4, who's helping the Commonwealth attorney, pretend that she never seen it? I mean, why are they terrified from the actual dash camera? I mean, how hard is it to release a dash camera? You had no problem releasing a portion of a chopped up dash camera, 5 seconds, a muted dash camera, a chopped up version of a dash camera, but you're terrified to release a dash camera? I mean, you say Mustafa did this intentionally, that this is not a vehicle accident, that he intentionally drove into oncoming traffic, he was arguing with his girlfriend, jerked the vehicle into oncoming traffic. That's not what the dash cameras show. Show us the dash camera. Show us how horrible of a monster Mustafa is. You're terrified of Mustafa's evidence. We've been here for over 2 years dealing with Mustafa's case. You have not released the dash camera. But unfortunately for you, ma'am, I have the dash camera. It's on the internet, and the community is actively watching you lie in real time. We're here in front of the FBI building, the DOJ. We're filing complaints. We're asking them to step in. We're no longer asking them to inquire from Amy Ashworth, the police department. The FBI and the DOJ gets involved only to tell you this is a state matter, that the documents are sealed. We have to wait for them to investigate themselves. We're supplying you with the body cams. I'm supplying the DOJ and the FBI with the body cams that show the police reports are falsified, the dash camera that shows this is a vehicle accident. Key material, in this case, does show the whole entire case is built on a lie. Now, let's continue watching, Shelly, Casey, let's continue watching what NBC4 said about Mustafa. And the more we watch, the more disturbing this gets.
Al Jazeera hired a new defense attorney, Blake Weiner.
This is Mustafa's lawyer at the time.
Police misconduct.
Blake Weiner.
Police report talks about my client saying, I know what happened. He didn't say that. The police report also says that they were arguing in the car. He didn't say that. These are not only these material facts and material misrepresentations, they're the foundation of the government's case.
Weiner says without the incriminating statement, there's no proof Al Jazeera crashed the car intentionally. Police will not disclose specifically what led to the finding that the investigating officer violated department policy.
At the time, they wouldn't tell the community, they wouldn't tell anybody. As a matter of fact, to this day, they wouldn't tell anybody. What was their finding? You and Internal Affairs investigated this investigator, looked into this falsified police reports, told us they falsified it. First Sergeant Sean Shelton told us that he called Commonwealth Attorney and he told her the police report is falsified. Now, at the time, Internal Affairs, when you called him, after Sean Shelton phone call, after Lieutenant Spina, they wouldn't tell us anything. What is your finding? What are the details of your investigation? What have you done to fix this case? The Commonwealth Attorney dropped the case and now she's charging him with murder. What have you done to hold this investigator accountable? Apparently, they're not telling anybody because they put in a supplemental report that they couldn't hear the audio. That's convenient. That's very convenient. The audio is crystal clear. Crystal clear. You can hear every single word that was said in that conversation. I mean, this is literally Mustafa on the phone and my other brother Muhammad put another cell phone next to him and recorded the phone call conversation. That's how clear that phone call conversation was. Internal Affairs wants to play this game where they put in a supplement report, pretend they ran an investigation, only to gaslight the whole entire case and say we couldn't hear the audio. That's interesting.
Has
Yes,
that
ma'am.
video close by that you can just play a few seconds of it to show that you can hear it clearly?
Yes, that's a really good idea. Yes. Now, Shelly, another thing that I found really disturbing is in the bond hearings that Mustafa had, and in NBC4, when they released a portion of the audio, that said Mustafa, for just about 5 times, when investigator Drum tells him, were you arguing in the vehicle with your girlfriend? Mustafa tells him just about 5 times, there is no argument. There is no argument. We were not arguing. There is no argument. Investigator Drum asked him like 5 times. And every single time Mustafa's telling him, there is no argument. Now, what's really interesting, after 5 times, this investigator would ask him like 5 times. After 5 times, Mustafa's like, is telling him, I don't remember there's an argument. I don't know what you're talking about. There is no argument. I don't remember there's an argument. What they did, they wouldn't put, during the bond hearing, they wouldn't play the portion where Mustafa says, there is no argument, there is no argument, there is no argument, there is no argument. They played the portion where Mustafa says, I don't remember there's an argument. Now, the disturbing part about this, once this is misleading This is misleading because when you say, I don't remember there's an argument, so maybe there is an argument that you don't remember. You see what they're doing? You're misleading and taking the conversation out of context at this point. Out of context. 5 times he's telling you there is no argument. And this investigator kept on going.
Right, and not to jump ahead.
Yeah.
Investigator Drum also said to Mustafa in that conversation, well, can you come down to the Garfield police station
Exactly.
and watch and listen to the dash cam, and maybe that will help you remember what's going on.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
the dash cam doesn't have any audio.
Exact.
Another topic on there.
Exactly.
Couldn't play that audio.
Exactly. So this this dash camera 100% has audio. We have a document that the police department admit there is an audio, but publicly they're telling everybody there is no audio. But their internal document says yes, we have the audio. It's on the SD card. Now, Investigator Drum told Mustafa to come down to the station. Mustafa was gonna go down to the station. Investigator Drum called it off. Investigator Drum refused to sit down with Mustafa. Why? Why do you refuse to sit down with Mustafa? I mean, on the phone call, you're asking him to come in, and then later you cancel out. And this is the disturbing part. This investigator canceled out, refused to sit down with Mustafa because he already made up his mind on what to do. I'm just gonna falsify Mustafa's police report and call it a day.
I'm gonna obtain a warrant and we'll go pick him up.
He issued out a warrant, a falsified warrant, where he said exactly what's in the police report that's falsified. He put it in the warrant. I mean, this is a sworn affidavit. This is a sworn affidavit, falsified, under oath. Investigator Drum falsified the content of the dash camera, that there's an argument, that they're in a heated argument, that Mustafa jerked the vehicle into oncoming. That's a lie. And then he said, Mustafa told me that I was arguing. That's a lie. You falsified a sworn. You falsified the warrant. And that's how you arrested Mustafa. Let's play the audio for everybody to hear how crystal clear is the conversation. And you know, Shelly, what's really interesting is when we were called into internal affairs, we sat down with internal affairs for just about 90 minutes. We recorded that conversation with internal affairs. Now, in the conversation, you can hear us play the audio for Sergeant Sean Shelton, and we're both highlighting the falsified statements. So what part did you not hear? It's that disturbing. And you know, the other thing that I find really interesting is Investigator Drum, in the discovery, Investigator Drum, there is no recording from the police department. Investigator Drum says the prosecutor lied in court, and she said the investigator recorded the phone call conversation on his body cam. But now that when you open the discovery, you realize this investigator never recorded the phone call conversation. What's disturbing is when you read the police reports. It's a 30-minute conversation, and the police report is written in a manner where there is no way that you can write this police report if it was not recorded. I mean, you're going in chronology, in order of the conversation of what Mustafa is saying, what this investigator is saying, and it's in order. I mean, this is a long police report, and this investigator is prescribing exactly what Mustafa is saying, except for that portion where the main important part where the statements are falsified. There is no way that you can, as an investigator, as anybody, there is no way that you can write a detailed report in that order without recording the phone call conversation. Now, this investigator said, I didn't record it. There is no recording. Nowhere in the discovery that you have a recording of this investigator. What I'm coming to the conclusion that yes, this investigator recorded it and deleted it. Where is the body cam where he recorded that phone call conversation? It's not there. He was gonna falsify Mustafa's statement, and it was gonna be investigator's words over Mustafa's words, and we all know how that's gonna go.
Because he did not realize that you guys were recording.
Exactly. This was a shock that Muhammad recorded the phone call between Mustafa and the investigator. This changed everything. This is the audio, and Shelly, if you can do me a favor, if you can tell me if you can hear the audio on YouTube. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
Hello? Yeah, hi, Officer Drum?
Yes, sir.
Hi, how are you? I got your phone call for, Mustafa.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was driving. I just got home, so I have Mustafa here. And so,
Okay.
yes, sir, he's right here.
What's going on?
Hello?
Hey, man, how are you?
Yes, sir.
How is this not clear?
Stop behind, hold on.
I don't know. Like, I'm just really depressed. Like, I don't know.
Now keep in mind,
Yes, sir.
Mustafa was helicoptered to the hospital. Mustafa was in a coma. They helicoptered him into the hospital. This is a major accident. Mustafa lost his family inside that vehicle. He woke up to his girlfriend, her 5-year-old baby. And when he woke up in the hospital, they did a toxicology report. No alcohol, no rugs. The police and the investigator released Mustafa. This is 2 days into the vehicle accident. Now, it is illegal to interrogate someone that just came out of a major coma, a major concussion. That's illegal. He's already scrambled up in the head. I mean, exactly. Mustafa, I have documents, the paramedic documents. Mustafa was injected with 50 mcg of F. And in the hospital, investigator Chad Mason is interrogating Mustafa. And all you see on a body cam, Mustafa is crying for his family, confused, and asking for his family. And they're toying with him in the hospital. Now, how could you inject someone with 50 mcg of F? He just woke up out of a coma. And you're interrogating him in the hospital. I have the body cams, and we'll go over those body cams. And then 2 days, you're confusing him. I mean, when you hear this phone call, this investigator starts off normal, and then all of a sudden becomes hostile toward Mustafa. And he's confusing Mustafa with questions that are confusing. Mustafa would answer him, and then this investigator, at the end, said, he just came out of a coma. I'm just going to falsify his police report. Deleted his body cam, deleted his recording, falsified Mustafa's statements, and just decided that it's his word against Mustafa. And who's going to believe Mustafa? You're talking about an investigator that's been there with the police department for over 20 years. Muhammad comes out with this recording that he recorded the phone call conversation. Now everything changes. They're terrified. And what did they do? Instead of fixing it, they said, "Oh, we can't hear the audio. There's your supplemental report." This is so disturbing. Because you're no longer talking about one police officer who falsified the police report. You're talking about a whole entire agency. I mean, internal affairs is an agency within an agency. But you have this agency mechanized to protect the investigator who lied on the police report. I want to get to a portion where the investigator asked Mustafa, "Were you arguing inside the vehicle?" And Mustafa tells him, "There is no argument inside the vehicle. I was not arguing inside the vehicle." Let's see.
Okay.
Mom, what if you could get permanent teeth in just 24 hours?
Job is cheap. Okay.
You can hear the full audio. It's about a 30-minute audio on YouTube. We post it on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook.
Her mom's birthday was like, what's going on?
So, I know they were left alone when it picked them up from the apartment. You turn into the left-hand lane and
Ask you about the kids. I didn't want CPS to take them and separate them. I wanted them to be like, all together, like at the neighbor's house. So I trusted that. She told me that, they're going to be okay.
Okay. Well, hey,
So this investigator is asking Mustafa, when you were released from the hospital, what did you do after you got released from the hospital? Mustafa's telling him, I asked my family to take me to the apartment. Mustafa was living with Dorothy at the time. In an apartment, Dorothy has a total of 5 kids. A 5-year-old Empress, a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 15-year-old that was living in the apartment. So at the apartment, there is the 9-year-old, the 10-year-old, and the 14-year-old at the apartment. So when Mustafa was released, when he woke up out of a coma, when he was released from the hospital, released from the police department, mom, dad, my brother, my sister, they're all there. Took Mustafa, and Mustafa, his number one priority is to make sure and check on the kids. So we wanted to, Mustafa, they wheeled him out in a wheelchair. 1 minute he's in a coma, he wakes up from a coma. We thought Mustafa was, but then Mustafa was okay. It's a major accident. Mustafa wakes up from a coma. We were so relieved to see Mustafa. We thought we lost Mustafa. That phone call that we got was so disturbing from the police department. Your brother is in a coma. Imagine getting a phone call from the police department. Your family member was involved in a major vehicle accident. He's in a coma. And immediately, you assume the worst, and he's not coming out. So when we got Mustafa, we were so relieved. We're like, so we want, Mustafa's all cut up, like he has all kind of injuries. He's wheeled around in a wheelchair. He barely got up. He can barely walk. We wanted to take Mustafa home to our Stafford home. Mustafa's like, is telling us, I have to make sure the kids are good. And he's out of it. Apparently what they've done is they injected Mustafa with 50 mcg of F, and Mustafa was out of it. You can clearly see Mustafa was out of it. His toxicology reports show no alcohol, no drugs, but the paramedic have injected Mustafa with 50 mcg of F. Now they tell you this is for the pain. Now, the more I look into this case, if it's for the pain, why did you interrogate Mustafa in the hospital? I have body cams where they're interrogating Mustafa in the hospital. You're telling me that it's legal. By the way, this is illegal. What investigator Chad Mason, what the police department engaged in, is illegal. You inject him with 50. You hear about these stories in third world countries. You hear about it in Russia, China, where they inject you only to get a false confession. You inject him with 50 mcg of F. He wakes up from a coma only for you to tell him your family is okay. All you hear Mustafa is asking about his girlfriend, 5-year-old Empress. Where are the kids? He's asking about his family. And the police officer is asking him what happened. Blah, blah, blah. He's asking him questions. And he's calming Mustafa down. He's telling him, your family is good to go. We're taking care of your family. Your family is good. Your family is alive. Only to find out that his girlfriend was already deceased. And it took Investigator Jerome for 4 hours. He's telling him, your family is okay. 4 hours later, he comes in with a body cam, rolling, and drops a major bombshell on Mustafa, telling him, your girlfriend has been deceased. Now, what he's hoping is that Mustafa is out of it. He's under 50 mcg of F. He has his body cam recording, and he's hoping that Mustafa is so out of it because of the 50 mcg of F that he's going to get a body cam of Mustafa that's so out of it that when he tells him your girlfriend is deceased, he's not going to have a reaction. And he wants to take this body cam to the prosecutor and tell her, ma'am, we told him about his family. He did not give a fuck. Now,
If that was not the case,
yeah.
Chad Mason, who was a POS, would not have had his body cam muted to unmute it right before he tells him that. So you can tell it is very well planned.
Exactly.
He's gonna say it because he unmuted his body cam at that time.
Exactly. You know, Shelly, you can clearly see Chad Mason shushing Mustafa. You can see Mustafa in the background. Chad Mason mutes his body cam, and Mustafa is telling him something, and Chad Mason aggressively shushing Mustafa. You can clearly see. I mean, this is so disturbing. I mean, clearly, Mustafa, you're telling him one thing, he's realizing something else, and now you're organizing a scene where you're attempting to solicit a specific reaction. Now, what the body cam shows that Mustafa was broken, is crying for his family when Chad Mason told him your family is deceased. Mustafa was crying, was asking for his family, and that's the reaction that you see on the body cam. This investigator didn't get the reaction that he wanted, so what they did, investigator Chad Mason falsifies the police report, says Mustafa did not care about his family, even though the body cam showed that Mustafa is crying for his family. Chad Mason says he didn't care about his family, and they went to a judge, Judge Carol Weimer, and they sealed off the body cam. Now you have a situation where the police report says Mustafa did not care about his family. That police report. Now keep in mind, the police department and the Commonwealth Attorney are two separate agencies. The police department submits their police report to the Commonwealth Attorney, and the Commonwealth Attorney brings up charges and litigate this in court based on police reports. Now, if the body cam is sealed and the police report is falsified, you're literally telling the jury that when we told Mustafa about his family deceased, he did not care. I mean, that's disturbing. That's disturbing. You want to tell me they're not actively building a case on lies? I'm here to tell you, you don't have to take my word for it. I have the body cams. I have the body cam that they sealed off. I have the police reports where they falsified every portion in this case. I want to play the body cam really quick where in the hospital. And you have a case here where the same investigators on scene would say, this is a vehicle accident. Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. But on police reports, they say something completely different. They say this is intentional. Mustafa did not do everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. The computer inside the vehicle shows that Mustafa's foot was on the brake the whole entire time. There are skid marks from Mustafa braking. Initially, when Mustafa hit the brake, before coming into oncoming traffic, there are skid marks there. Now, when Mustafa hits the brake, there is brake failure. The vehicle would not come to a complete stop. The police department inspect the vehicle and find brake failure. The driver brake, the caliper on the driver's side, the caliper on the back driver's side, those calipers works. The caliper on the passenger front and the caliper on the back passenger, those caliper did not work. So you have a situation where when you hit the brake, it just vibrates and the vehicle doesn't come to a complete stop. Only 2 calipers are working. This is mechanical failure. This is not me saying it. This is the police department admitting that there's brake failure. Now, when you look at the scene, the pictures that the investigators took at the scene, you see Mustafa's skid marks. Before you enter the oncoming traffic, when Mustafa realized he was in the wrong lane, you have a very distinctive 1 skid mark, not 2 skid marks. And this is consistent with what the investigator, the mechanic in the police department is finding, that 1 set of calipers is working and the other set calipers is not working. You're only going to have 1 skid mark. The investigators would lie in the police report, would lie on the stand in a bond motion and say there are no skid marks, even though on the scene they're saying all these are Mustafa skid marks. They say that Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. But on the police report, they falsified that. This is a body cam. This is a body cam where after 4 hours, now keep in mind, they already notified each other, police officers from the scene would tell each other that Dorothy is already deceased, but they're sitting there lying to Mustafa, building up to where they're building a scene, and you can clearly hear, you can see Chad Mason shushing Mustafa. You see that part where he's shushing Mustafa? There's a back and forth. The camera is muted, and then he goes in after 4 hours and tells him, "Your girlfriend is deceased," hoping to solicit a reaction where Mustafa is out of it because of the F50 MCG of F that they injected him with. This investigator knows Mustafa is injected with 50 MCG of F. It's in the medical documents. He knows, but they're attempting to get a specific body cam so they can give it to the prosecutor and say, look, he doesn't care about his family. So they can show it to the jury and tell the jury he doesn't care about his family when we told him. And then when you get a body cam where he's crying for his family, they seal off the body cam and falsify. I mean, this investigator falsified this body cam. So Mustafa did not care when I told him that your family was deceased. You see Mustafa? I'm going to rewind it real quick. That's what's up. He's crying. He's broken. He just found out that he lost his girlfriend. Keep in mind, she's been deceased 4 hours ago, and they've been lying to Mustafa the whole entire time. And they're engaging in this interrogation, and they're attempting to solicit a specific reaction. When he doesn't get the reaction that he wants, Judge Carol Weimer seals off the body cam, and investigator Chad Mason puts in a falsified police report. He did not care about his family when we told him that your family is deceased. And that's what they were hoping that the jury is going to see. Unfortunately for them, the body cam is all over the internet. The police report is all over the internet. Now, what's more disturbing is Judge Carol Weimer ruled this every body cam in the hospital. He ruled out that this is not an interrogation. Judge Carol Weimer, you're out of Prince William County. You're the presiding judge. You have a reputation where you rule against the evidence. I mean, we've been claiming for 2 years that you rule against the evidence. That you're protecting a Commonwealth attorney, a prosecutor that's lying about Mustafa. You sealed off the body cams and the discovery. Now, you're in circuit court, and when you rule out this not being an interrogation, Mustafa was not Mirandized. Mustafa was injected with 50 mcg of F. Mustafa was interrogated. There's another officer guarding the door. The family is being yelled at in the hospital. Mom can't go next to Mustafa. This investigator would tell the family, you can't go next to Mustafa. There's a police officer guarding the door. Investigator Chad Mason is asking Mustafa questions. This is an interrogation. But according to Judge Carol Weimer, on the record, he said this is not an interrogation. Now, at the time, Judge Carol Weimer felt comfortable to say this is not an interrogation, even though this is an interrogation. Anybody that watches these body cams would tell you this is an interrogation. Judge Carol Weimer was comfortable because the body cams is sealed. The police report is sealed. No one can verify and watch the body cams. So when Judge Carol Weimer says, you just got to take my word for it. I watched the body cams. This is not an interrogation. Judge Carol Weimer was comfortable and he thought he can get away with it. Well, unfortunately for you, Judge, the community is watching this body cam and they're calling you out, sir. They're telling you that you're lying and protecting a Commonwealth. You're protecting a police officer. They engaged in an interrogation, in an unlawful interrogation, and you lied. On the record, you said this is not an interrogation. Unfortunately for you, sir, it's all over the internet. And we're having a conversation about you. Judge Carol Weimer, you have a whole entire show about you. In front of the DOJ, in front of the FBI building, we're complaining about you. And we're going to get to the bottom of what you're doing to Mustafa Al-Jazari. And the question is, if you're so comfortable doing this to Mustafa Al-Jazari, sir, how many other people are you doing this to? I mean, Shelley, Chief of Police, no, not Chief of Police, Sheriff Glen Hill comes up to my brother Muhammad, and he tells him, I have a full-blown investigation into your brother Amar, because apparently my deputy sheriffs are working against me, and they're leaking out audios and videos from my from my courthouse. Yes, Sheriff, I'm here to tell you that your deputy sheriffs are supplying me with audio and video inside your courtroom. Yes, ma'am.
Joe?
Hey.
You were sleeping there?
A year ago, a year and a half ago, my first interaction with Sheriff Glen Hill. I've been protesting for just about, at that time when he made contact with me, for just about 2 weeks. He comes out, actually 3 weeks. He makes contact with me after 3 weeks. Initially, the first 2 days, I'm protesting with my family. I have my giant bullhorn. I'm exercising my First Amendment. I'm talking about my brother falsified police reports. Sheriff Glen Hill comes out, and 2 days into my protest, he says, what I'm hearing is very disturbing. I'm the sheriff. I'm gonna look into it. And I kid you not, I didn't see the sheriff for 3 weeks. And every time I see him, he would run from the building, like to his car. I'm watching the sheriff. I'm like, why is the sheriff running? Why is the sheriff running away from me? Like, I would watch him. I'm thinking he's gonna come walk my way to tell me what he looked into. He's running the other direction, and it's weird. You're talking about a 7-year-old man that, I swear to God, wears a diaper. Run to his vehicle, and you should see Sheriff Glen Hill run. It's actually funny. I mean, it's sad, but it's funny. You can't run, sir. I mean, just walk. For 3 weeks, he would run from the building to his vehicle. And then after 3 weeks, he comes up to me, and he tells me, hey now, you better tell the truth about me. I'm like, Sheriff, what are you talking about? I'm telling you, they beat my brother inside your jail. Your correctional officer beat my brother. I have another family here with me. The brother and the sister, the family of Robert Reed, an inmate that was unalived inside your jail by your correctional officer. And I'm asking you to look into your correctional officer that essayed my brother and denied him medical. He's like, no, this would never happen in my jail. You can come to the jail board meetings and meetings that they hold. You know, there's a board that looks into abuse inside the jail. You should go there, and we're gonna help you look into and get the videos to find out nothing happened to your brother. Now, it's interesting. When we went to the boards and we asked them to look into the jail, they closed down the jail board meeting. No longer they're public because 500,000 people, these videos went viral, and 500,000 people saw the jail board meetings. You're telling me to go to the jail, and then once we go, you shut down the jail board meeting. In Prince William County, there are no more public jail board meetings. Now, at the time, Shelly, in that video, there's a video on social media. My first interaction with Sheriff Glen Hill, I told him, Sheriff, immediately, I called out his bullshit. I saw a man that's bullshit. I saw a sheriff that's not fit to be a sheriff. He tells me I'm not in charge of the jail. I mean, I remember at the time, he tells me, tell the truth now. I'm not in charge of the jail. I'm like, wait a minute, you're the sheriff. A sheriff tells me I'm not in charge of my jail? What are we talking about? Your correctional officers get their authority from the sheriff. They're deputized by the sheriff. They have their badges from the sheriff. They're working under your authority. Anything they do, that's under you, sir. So when you sit there and tell me I don't control the jail, I'm not in charge of the jail, you're not fit to be a sheriff. You're gaslighting the conversation. And at the time, I already knew what I had to do. I had to start an operation inside your jail. Where and I'm telling you, at the time, I'm telling you, Sheriff, I have eyes and ears inside your jail. Hey, Sheriff, I have the CCTV video from inside your jail. Hey, guess you never expected that to happen. You said nothing happened. I have the CCTV video where your correctional officers are dragging my brother unconscious from one cell into another cell, half naked. You told me nothing happened. At the time, I told you that I have eyes and ears inside your jail. Well, sir, it's been 2 years. Not only do I have eyes and ears inside your jail, I have eyes and ears inside your courtroom. And your deputy sheriffs are working for me. You don't have to take my word for it. I'm going to start releasing audios and videos from your courtroom. Judge Carol Weimer, how would you like the community to see videos of your proceedings? That's going to be beautiful. Not only for Mustafa Al-Jazari's case, but other proceedings that you presided over in other cases. Sheriff Glenn Hill, you had one job to do, sir. You had one job to do, and it's to protect a judge, Judge Carol Weimer, when he's lying about the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Sheriff, you failed. Now we're living in a reality where Judge Carol Weimer is realizing that when he's lying in this proceeding, these are being released on the internet. Your proceedings, sir, are going to be released on the internet. Sheriff Glenn Hill, you had one job to do. It's to protect Judge Carol Weimer when he's lying about the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. You failed. Mustafa, brother, has eyes and ears inside your courtroom. And now the problem is, Shelly, the bigger problem is you have a 7-year-old sheriff. For a sheriff to come out and say, I have a full-blown investigation into Mustafa's brother to find out which deputy sheriff is working with him, supplying him with videos and audios. Oh, wait, whoa. What are we talking about? You're talking about a sheriff that's sounding a little bit too crazy. What are you going to do, Sheriff? Are you going to start firing deputy sheriffs? You have a full-blown investigation into your deputy sheriffs? What are you going to do to get to the bottom of it? How many deputy sheriffs are you going to fire before you get to the deputy sheriff that are working with Mustafa's brother? So you're talking about a situation where you have a 7-year-old man who has a badge and a uniform as a sheriff, walking around, looking sideways into his deputy sheriffs, and they're literally thinking about getting rid of and firing his deputy sheriffs. You have a sheriff that walks around with a giant diaper who's sounding senile. So not only your deputy sheriff know that you walk around with a diaper, now they're looking at you, walking around like a crazy man, looking for the deputy sheriffs that is working with Mustafa's brother. And the situation just got real for you because Mustafa's brother literally has audio of videos of court proceeding inside your court. Sheriff, you had one job to do, and you miserably failed. You failed at protecting Mustafa, a pretrial detainee inside your jail. You failed to protect Mustafa from your correctional officers. You have correctional officers that are out of control, who beat Mustafa, essayed Mustafa, denied Mustafa medical. That's under your watch, sir. You had the job to protect. We're talking about a county jail. Your mission statement is that you protect. Your mission statement is that you're going to keep pretrial detainees until they get to their day in court. Well, sir, you have 17 deaths inside your jail. 17 inmates that were unalived inside your jail. Not one, not 5, 17 inmates that were unalived inside your jail on the hand of your correctional officers. You failed to hold your correctional officers accountable. Lying to the family, lying to the community, and you said nothing happened to your brother. And now we're watching you fail again. Not only did you fail the community, not only did you fail this family, not only did you fail Mustafa, who's falsely accused inside your jail. Mustafa is a pre-trial detainee. He has not had his day in court. You're talking about you're innocent until proven guilty. You're talking about a pre-trial detainee. You failed to protect my brother. Not only did you fail Mustafa, the family, the community, now you're failing Judge Carol Weimer. Well, Judge Carol Weimer is in trouble right now. You had one job to do, sir. You failed Judge Carol Weimer. Audios and videos of proceeding are going to be released all over the internet. And if you think I'm bluffing, sir, keep watching my social media. Your deputy, Deputy Major Terry, who's so sensitive, they're upset because I call him a piece of shit. I mean, I've never seen... I mean, you have a rank of a major. How could you be so sensitive, sir? Did you buy your way into that rank, sir? Is there so much corruption that they made a major out of you and you're not fit to be a major? You're so sensitive, sir. You're upset that Mustafa's brother called you a piece of shit. Maybe he called you a piece of shit because you arrested him while he was exercising his First Amendment on public property. Yeah, I remember when I met First Major Terry, who's the second in command after Sheriff Glen Hill. He pulls me. Shelly, you were right there. I remember my first time meeting with Deputy Major Terry. He pulls me into his office and he says, "This is a Bible and this is a Constitution. And that's what I go by. Sir, you don't give a fuck about the Bible and you damn don't give a fuck about the Constitution. You're a corrupt sheriff. I call you a piece of shit because you arrested me and you stepped all over the Constitution when I was exercising my First Amendment." And unfortunately for you, the whole thing is on video. So you can't weasel your way out of it. I've got a lawsuit on the 13th against Sheriff Glen Hill. I'm taking him to court for violating my First Amendment. Last time I checked, we're still in America. We're not in Russia, Sheriff. We're not in China. We're in the United States of America, where the Constitution does apply. But according to Sheriff Glen Hill, you gotta leave because I said so. That's his favorite line, by the way. When I was protesting for my brother, he tells me, "Take your banner and leave. Go over there." I'm like, "Why? I'm on public property, sir. Do what I'm telling you to do, or I'm going to arrest you." "What are you going to arrest me for, sir?" I'm asking him. I was so confused. I swear to God, if you watch that video, I'm sitting there confused to what this sheriff is telling me because I couldn't comprehend that you can actually arrest me for exercising my First Amendment. I'm peaceful. I'm standing there on public property. It's the First Amendment, sir. Do what I'm telling you to do, or I'm going to arrest you. Why? What are you going to arrest me for? And I think I asked him that for like 4 or 5 times. Then he actually puts me in handcuffs. What? What are we talking about? You can't. So they falsify your brother police report, and when you come out and talk about it, they're so terrified that they put you in handcuffs. You can't make up this shit even if you want to. I mean, if I didn't have the video of the incident, you can't believe it. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Eddie Ashworth, how are you, man?
I'm holding a sign
Is right there.
on public property.
Your office is right here.
I'm holding a sign on public property. This is public property. According to the deposition of Sheriff Glen Hill in General District Court, Sheriff Glen Hill says, I am on public property. I'm not disorderly. I'm peaceful. That's his deposition. Literally his deposition. Sheriff Glen Hill took the stand, and my lawyer deposed him on the stand. And Sheriff Glen Hill says, I was peaceful. I was peaceful. I'm not disorderly. I'm on public property. And then he says, I had no idea you were being arrested. You're on video giving orders to your deputy sheriff to put me in handcuffs for disorderly. Now, I wasn't charged for disorderly. When they took me in, there's a video, so they couldn't charge me with disorderly. They charged me with trespassing. The question is, how could you charge me with trespassing if I'm not disorderly? I wasn't charged with disorderly. I'm not disorderly on the video. The deposition of the sheriff shows that I'm not. It says that he says I'm not disorderly. I'm holding a sign telling Amy Ashworth. Amy Ashworth is right there. Her office is right there, and I'm holding a sign that says, "Hey, God bless you, brother." The sign says, Amy Ashworth, on your watch, you allow a county jail to unalive inmates. And I have evidence of what I'm talking about. She's a jail board member. She's a jail board member. She has two positions. Amy Ashworth, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, has two positions in Prince William County. She's a Commonwealth attorney, and then she's also a jail board member. Who's the board? A jail board is comprised of the sheriff, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, the chief of police, Peter Newsham, and the Human Rights Commission, Raul Torres. These individuals, their job is to make sure inmates are safe. Well, in Commonwealth Amy Ashworth's, it's a conflict of interest. How could you prosecute inmates, but at the same time protect inmates inside the county jail? That's a conflict of interest, because your job is you're securing prosecutions. So when abuse happens inside the jail, it's in her best interest to look the other way, because when she gives them a plea deal, they're so abused and so they're so badly hurt that they're begging her for the plea deal. So in every case, we're watching a Commonwealth attorney who's looking the other way. It's a conflict of interest. You can't prosecute inmate and protect inmates at the same time. That's a conflict of interest. This county jail has 17 unalived inmates in our county jail on her watch. And I held a sign that said, Amy Ashworth, on your watch, you're allowing inmates to be unalived. And I'm talking about my brother. I'm talking about the inmates. I'm talking about my brother falsified police reports. Now, Amy Ashworth, within 5 minutes, comes out, and she waves at me through the window, because her office is right there. I kid you not, within 5 minutes, the sheriff comes out and puts me in handcuffs. What am I doing? I'm talking about the situation we have with the Commonwealth attorney. I'm talking about unalived inmates. I'm talking about my brother falsified police report. And if you notice, I'm recording a video. I mean, this is your First Amendment. But according to Sheriff Glen Hill, there is no First Amendment in Prince William County. But this sheriff is about to find out that I'm going to hold him accountable. And on the 13th, we have in circuit court, my lawyer is coming in. We're taking Sheriff Glen Hill, and we're going to hold him accountable. You can't tell me because I said so, you got to go over there. There's an actual case law that you can't just because you're a police officer, you're not just going to tell me, go over there. This is public property. I have a First Amendment. Tony comes out. And I thought we were having a conversation. Apparently, Sheriff Glen Hill is on a power trip. Amy Ashworth's feeling is hurt. In the deposition, Sheriff Glen Hill says, you can be there. This is public property. And my lawyer in a deposition asked Sheriff Glen Hill, if it wasn't Amar, if it was someone else standing there holding a sign that says, I love cats, would you have arrested him, Sheriff? Sheriff Glen Hill says no. First of all, he says Amar was not disorderly. Amar was on public property. He says this is public property. So if I'm not disorderly, I'm on public property, why am I getting arrested? So, and then my lawyer would engage Sheriff Glen Hill in questions. He says, but you arrested Amar. He says, I had no idea Amar was being arrested. One of my deputies arrested him for disorderly. You're on video giving orders to your deputy sheriff, who's a retired Marine, so who you threw under the bus. You're throwing your deputy sheriff under the bus. What are you doing, Sheriff? And then you wonder why your deputy sheriffs are working against you. What are you doing, Sheriff? You're talking about deputy sheriffs that are retired military. You're just going to throw them under the bus to save your badge and uniform? I mean, this is on the record, by the way. I have the audio of the proceeding. There's a transcript for the whole thing. And things are going to get released. So, my lawyer would ask Sheriff Glen Hill, if it wasn't Amar, if it was someone else in that same spot, holding a sign that says, I love cats, would that be a problem, Sheriff? Sheriff Glen Hill says, no. Wouldn't be a problem. So why is it a problem if I'm holding a sign that says Amy Ashworth allows a jail to unalive inmates? Oh, wait a minute. You have a problem with the message that Amar is holding. So it's not. I mean, you know how big of a problem that is? To have a deputy sheriff admit on the record, I have a problem with the message that he's holding, not what he's doing. He could have been there. Could have stand there all day long if he wanted to. If he's talking about anything else but my jail, but my Commonwealth attorney, Amy Ashworth. I mean, this is a big problem. I promise you, Sheriff, by the time I'm done with you, I'm going to have your badge and uniform. And we're going to hold you accountable by law. When I told you I've got eyes and ears inside your jail, I wasn't fucking around, sir. I told you that a year and a half ago. And now I've got your deputy sheriffs working against you. Good luck finding out who I'm talking about. What are you going to do? Fire half your staff? You start letting people go, transfer people around? I mean, I walk into a court proceeding and I'm not recognizing any of the deputy sheriffs. What are you doing to the deputy sheriff, sir? And you got a 70-year-old man walking around with a diaper who's, for all we know, might have schizophrenia. We might have to do a wellness check on the sheriff. I'm just asking questions here. This is the rest of the video where...
Is it the sign that says Amy Ashworth? I'm sorry. Is it the sign that says Amy Ashworth protect? Hey, Joe. No, sir. No, sir. I will not take that sign. This is public property.
Take your sign and go over there.
First Amendment. Sure? Yes, sir.
Why?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Talk to me. Okay. You can arrest me if you want for exercising my First Amendment.
You can arrest me if you want for exercising my First Amendment. If you want to violate my rights, you go right ahead. But I'm going to hold you accountable. There is a First Amendment here. That just because you have a badge and a uniform, you don't get to do whatever you want. This is not the United States of Sheriff Glen Hill. This is not the United States of Sheriff Deputy Terry. There is a Constitution that applies to you and me. And I'm engaged in a constitutionally protected activity. And I'm going to make you pay by law for violating that First Amendment.
And I promise, what?
He says that might happen. I'm telling him, You can arrest me for violating my First Amendment. If you want to violate my First Amendment, go right ahead. He said, that might happen. What do you mean, sir? Are you comprehending what you're telling me? That might happen? Yeah, I might just go ahead and step over the Constitution. What are you talking about?
Why would you arrest me for exercising?
I'm literally asking. I'm so confused. I'm telling him, why would you arrest me for exercising my First Amendment? I mean, when you watch this video, I think I literally have PTSD from this video. Like, I think I really do.
No, sir. This is public property. I'm not using a bullhorn. The bullhorn is right there. I'm not using it.
Now, what's disturbing about this whole entire situation is I have a bullhorn that they told me that I have to be, I think, 300 yards from the court door, and I've complied with what they're telling me. And I'm following everything that they're telling me. I'm doing it by the book. I mean, I know my rights, and I'm not going to negotiate with my rights. This is my First Amendment. You have the bullhorn rule, policy, whatever. I've complied. I'm not even using the... I'm telling you, I'm not using the bullhorn. This is public property. What are you going to arrest me for? Go right there, or I'm going to arrest me. For what? What are you going to arrest me for? Articulate your reason for arresting me. Tell me why you're arresting me. He wouldn't tell me. I would ask him 4 times. Because I said so. That's what he says.
You're gonna arrest me for what? Exercising my First Amendment on public property? I'm not resisting. I'm not resisting.
I'm resisting.
I've got a sign that says Amy Ashworth is protecting a child that murders people. Now I've got sheriffs. There is no designated area when it comes to public property, sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. This is public property.
And you know what's really unique is there's a cigarette ashtray tray right there. There are stairs. There's a bench where you sit at. This is public property. And the deposition of the sheriff identifies this as public property. And he's okay if you were standing there for someone else or me if I was holding a sign that says I love cats. What do you mean, sir? So you're okay if I say I love Sheriff Glenn Hill, Deputy Terry is not a piece of shit. You would be okay with that. But the minute you talk about the issues in our county, now you have a problem. That's not how it works, sir. That is not how it works.
Okay.
What am I getting arrested for? That's what I'm telling him.
What am I getting arrested
2. What am I getting arrested for?
for? What am I getting arrested
3 times. What am I getting arrested for?
for? Are peaceful or not?
I'm asking you a question. I'm peaceful. I'm asking you what am I getting arrested? That's the 4th time I'm asking him.
Not resisting. I'm exercising my First Amendment. This is public property. There is no designated area, sir. No, sir. You do not have designated area. This is public property. And if I want, I can be in that lobby. As long as
I can be inside the lobby as long as I'm not disrupting the peace. The public, even the lobby is public property. As long as you're before the sonar, the checkpoint, that's all public property. I can be in that lobby as long as I'm not bothering anybody. As long as I'm not disruptive. That's public property.
I'm not disrupting the peace. No, we're not moving anywhere. This is our First Amendment. I didn't go overseas for 3 years to have someone arrest me and infringe on my First Amendment. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, Sheriff, come help. I'm not disrupting the peace. This is public area. What are you gonna do? Okay, keep recording. Keep recording. I'm not resisting. I am not resisting. I am not resisting. I am not resisting. Public property. I'm gonna keep recording.
Deputy Sheriff Terry is upset because I call him a piece of shit. What would you call a deputy sheriff that stands there, his hands in his pocket. The other deputy is bending my arm, and they have it bent in a position where it really hurts. It felt like they're breaking my arm. And I'm telling Deputy Terry, your deputy is bending my arm. Your deputy is breaking my arm. And I said it for like 4 or 5 times. I'm asking him, I'm telling him, your deputy is bending my arm. Deputy Terry has his arm in his hands, watching, enjoying his deputy bend my arm. What would you like me to call you, sir? Not only did you break the trust that I had with you, I thought you're a man that believes in the Bible, believes in the Constitution. What the fuck are you doing, sir? I trusted you that you're going to allow me to exercise my First Amendment. I don't need you to allow me to do anything. This is my First Amendment, sir. And I'm going to hold you accountable for violating my First Amendment. What do you want me to call you, sir? In that video, your deputy hits my sister. She's recording, and the deputy comes out and hits her cell phone. And I'm telling the deputy, don't hit my sister, sir. And then he began bending my arm. I'm telling Terry, your deputy is bending my arm. What are you doing, sir? I mean, this is what you're doing on camera. What would you have done if it wasn't on camera? The question is, this is outside the court, outside the jail, and this is how your deputies, this is how you're dealing with the situation. What are you doing inside your jail? If that's how you carry yourself outside the jail, what are you doing inside the jail, sir? How badly are you abusing pre-trial detainees inside the jail? If this is what you do outside the jail, what are you doing inside? I can only imagine. But I don't have to imagine, because I have the CCTV video of my brother getting carried unconscious, half naked, handcuffed behind his back from one cell until another. I don't have to imagine anymore. Terry has his hands in his pocket, and his deputies are bending my arm. And I'm telling him, Terry, they're bending my arm, sir. 4 or 5 times. He's getting a kick out of it. I'm telling Terry, your deputies are hurting my arm. They're bending my arm. They're hurting my arm. They're breaking my arm. I said it 4 or 5 times. But he's getting a kick out of it. Your officer is twisting my arm. Your officer is hurting my arm. You're getting arrested for not doing what you're told. So you have a badge and a uniform. Forget the Constitution. That doesn't apply in Prince William County. There is no First Amendment. You're getting arrested because you're not doing what you're told. Go over there and listen to what I'm telling you. And I wish this was an isolated incident. By the way, this is not an isolated incident. Sheriff Glenn Hill apparently is comfortable with doing what he's doing. There's a protest out of in 2020. There's a video on the internet where there is protesters that are in front of the court, and Sheriff Glenn Hill is telling them the same thing he's telling me. Go over there, because and then the protesters would tell them, I have a First Amendment. I have a First Amendment. Why would I go over there? Here, this is public property. He said, because I said so. Go over there. You got to go over there because I said so. What do you mean? I mean, this is so disturbing on so many levels that this sheriff has gotten away with doing this for as long as he had gotten away with it. Go over there because I said so? What do you mean, Sheriff? What do you mean?
I asked the question beforehand.
Let him speak.
It's actually anti-competitive.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
Of course, the but you want me to talk about I said I was a systematic thing. It is not a
Always designate this area right where you are, but normally it's right over there. But today, I'll let you stand here. But normally that's our area right over there.
Tell us why this is being live, like why we can't go any further. Like,
Can you tell us why I can't be here? This is public property. That's what she is asking him.
why? You can't tell me exactly why. You just have it.
Can you tell me why I can't be here? This is public property. Can you tell me why you just have it? You just gonna tell me go over there? I can't be here because you said that? Can you tell me why?
That's not his answer. That's not his answer. That's not his answer. You can't tell me exactly why. You just have it. That's not his answer.
Because I said so. He tells her, because I said so. I, the sheriff, said so. That's not how it works, sir. That is not how it works. This is public property. I can be on public property as long as I'm not disrupting the peace. As long as I'm peaceful, I can exercise my First Amendment. And a sheriff or a police officer doesn't get to come out of nowhere and tell me, go over there. You can't be here. You can't be on this portion of the public property. You got to be on that portion of the public property. That's not how it works. There are case laws against what this sheriff is doing. I mean, this is not an isolated incident. This sheriff has been doing it. And he intimidates his way into doing it. In Prince William County, according to Sheriff Glenn Hill, it's not the United States. It's the United States of Sheriff Glenn Hill. Well, I'm here to tell you, sir, fuck around and find out, sir. I'm going to hold you accountable by law. And I promise you, by the time I'm done with you, you're not going to have a badge or a uniform. You're just going to be a 7-year-old man that walks around with a diaper. Right now, you have a badge, a uniform, and people can't see past your schizophrenia. Walk around, 7 years old, with a diaper. I mean, who are you, sir? But by the time I'm done with you, sir, I promise you, you're just going to be a 7-year-old man with a diaper that has schizophrenia. And you're always going to be walking around telling yourself, God damn it, Mustafa brother took my badge and uniform. On that note, thank you for being here. We're going to end the podcast. We're waiting for a good friend of mine. He's going to be here. So when he gets here, we're going to hold another podcast. Johnny is going to be here. I look forward to him being here. He's fighting the same fight we're fighting. And there's a lot that I can learn from him. I can't wait for him to be here and have another podcast. On that note, thank you for being here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa, through the police body cams, Judge Carol Weimer, under the microscope.